First of all, thanks to APS for giving us the chance to talk to you guys and show you what our offer is here in Australia. I think you might as well begin. So I'm going to show you a little presentation, then I'm going to do a demo. Well, Siemens training in Australia. A little bit of housekeeping. You can type your question on the chat at any time. Please make sure you state your name, and we're happy to get back to you either by email or phone call. We will have someone answering your questions, or in case we run out of time, we can get back to you. You will be contacted by APS Industrial, though, with a PDF copy of this presentation. And for everyone that attends this particular webinar, you can have a 10% discount with a promo code APS webinar for orders before the end of April. So what are you going to see? Well, first of all, I'm going to do a live demo of our website, pardon me, showing you the booking form, the schedule, the price list, and the catalog, and what is SITRAIN Access, which is our digital platform for you guys to learn at your own pace. Then we'll get into the totally integrated automation training and show you the content of TIA Pro 1 and 2, what's the difference between face-to-face training and remote training. Then we will jump to a SITA in WA to talk to you about the training content, the drives training content. And then we will go to field in New South Wales to talk to you about PCS 7 and WinCC SCADA. Like I said, regarding the Q&A, you can type your questions on the chat. We're not going to do a Q&A on speaking terms. Everything will be done through the chat. Well, as you can see there, that's our website. So I'm going to bring the website live, and I'll do a demo. So here is the table of contents for you to listen to the online training offer, and also face-to-face, drives or PLCs, and even PCS 7. We also have the course timetable, which it shows you all the dates that we have for remote training or the face-to-face offer, either in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide. We do have some on-requests training courses, which for you to request to us, and we do have a minimum of 4 people to actually attend to a course that will go ahead. So we also need to make sure that the gear is available and the trainer is available. So the on request there for you, otherwise you'll have the dates. We do training courses in Sydney, for example, at APS Industrial. In Brisbane, we do it at Siemens. In Melbourne, we do it in Siemens Bayswater. And in Perth also, it can vary between Siemens and APS Industrial. The price list is also there for you guys to see the current price list. Does not include GST, and it's all in Australian dollars. In case you are from New Zealand, you need to make sure that we pay in Australian dollars. APS Industrial has a representative in New Zealand called CSL. So back to the website, apart from the catalog, course, timetable, and price list, you can also see the SITRAIN access offer. So what is the SITRAIN access offer? It's basically a digital platform that allows you to learn at your own pace. And even if you don't have an account, you can browse. So all you need to do is click on this link and go directly to the learning platform. And even, like I said, even without an account, you can browse and see what's available. Also, we do have something called freemium, which is the freemium content. You need to register to have an account with us, but you don't have to pay. This freemium content, it's free for you. You can also go to the learning catalog, and at this stage, you still don't need to have an account. You don't need to pay to actually browse and see the learning catalog, and you can then go and find either the freemium offer or the different training courses that you have. It is a yearly subscription. It is a individual subscription, so you need to pay $995 per year to actually have access to it. And on the freemium, obviously, you can do it for free, but you do have to register. You do need to have a login credentials. So if you choose a training course, then you need to enroll on that training course, and eventually you will be asked to log in. So see classes to enroll. Some classes are in German, as most classes are in English also. All you need to do is enroll, and then once you enroll, see, now I need a login. So if you don't have an account, you need to create one. And if it is freemium, it's free for you. So going back to the presentation. Now I'm going to talk about the training courses that I'm normally in charge, which is a totally integrated automation. Totally integrated automation is a concept. It's not a software. TIA Portal is a software, but also the totally integrated automation, it's part of Step 7 Classic. It's basically one software to program the PLC, the HMI, remote I/O, variable speed drives, and to integrate everything. So we do have this Step 7 Classic based on the 300. We do it on Profibus. The TIA Portal, TIA Pro 1 and 2, based on the 1500 PLC on Profinet, and both of them have a G120 variable speed drive integrated on Profinet. if we talk about TIA Portal 1, it's not really a basic course. I mean, you do need to have some basic knowledge on PLC. We're not here to teach you how to do ladder logic. We're here to teach you how to think Siemens. We're here to teach you from scratch, from the bottom up, how to deal with our software and hardware. The reason why I highlighted the troubleshooting, training, and support is because those two are actually ongoing. From the beginning, we teach you when things go wrong, what to do. And that's basically troubleshooting. Also, where to get the information, how to actually approach these problems. It's basically sharing our experience with you from the beginning to actually deal with TIA Portal. So this is the content. We'll teach you the structure of about more of how to handle data. As you can see on the first 5 chapters, we actually do a little bit of review of TIA Pro 1 because we need to set up the equipment. Handling data, handling UDTs, handling complex data, and addressing optimized blocks. We do dig into HMI alarm messages. In both TIA Pro 1 and TIA Pro 2, we deal with variable speed drives, but in a different way. So in both TIA Pro 1 and TIA Pro 2, we teach you how to commission a variable speed drive, but it's actually 2 different methods. The conventional method in TIA Pro 1, and we use technology objects on TIA Pro 2. Now, what's the difference between doing the training course face-to-face and doing the training course online? Well, this is a training kit. We have the 1500 PLC, the HMI, the remote I/O, and we actually connect a field PG or computer directly onto the equipment to program it. We have a conveyor model, which is going to be the basis to our programming in TIA Portal 1 and 2. Now, the challenge is for the remote session that you don't have physical access to the equipment. What we do is we get the student to connect through the internet to the field PG, so you will remote control the field PG from the comfort of your home, and we replace the conveyor with a digital twin. That in itself is basically a remote training. It's not virtual. You're not dealing with virtual equipment. You're dealing with real equipment. You're just doing it from the comfort of your home. Now, I will set up, or we set up the room with all the equipment and all the computers, and you will have to have 2 screens, because in one screen you'll have me or Asita or Phil doing the lecture in Microsoft Teams, and on the other screen, using remote Chrome Remote Desktop, you will control the field PG. Having TIA Portal or PCS7 or Step 7 Classic or whatever WinCC SCADA, for example, in your screen. So you will hear me, or you will hear your trainer telling you what to do on one screen, and on the other screen, you will be remote setting up the real equipment. The training material is exactly the same, or I should say 99% the same as face-to-face. In fact, we add a couple of things because we do want you to have the best experience. So we have a software like Pronita, for example, that it is a free software to do network analysis. We use that in remote training. We also use the smart server, smart client to remote control the HMI. So you could argue that the remote training actually covers a bit more than face-to-face. What equipment do you need? personal computer with high-speed internet, to large monitors, webcam, and to be in a private environment, because we want you to be fully concentrated in what you're doing. And we need to be a little bit careful as we're working for an office, because sometimes firewalls don't like the kind of software like Google Chrome Remote Desktop to actually do the course. So that's enough for me. Now I'm going to leave to Asita from WA to actually talk to you about the drives. Take it away, Asita.
Good afternoon, everyone. Asita from Siemens WA. I'm conducting in the variable speed drives training for Siemens nationwide. At the same time, I conduct some PLC trainings in WA. So in this one, I would quickly talk you about what are the different variable speed drives training which we conduct in Australia. So to begin with, each training course will have a different content, but I don't want to go each and every training course separately, but I will just cover a typical content of the variable speed drive training course. In the first chapter, or in the beginning of the chapter, we will discuss about the overview of the drives family. Means in Siemens, Cinemix is the name for Siemens drives, and we have a Cinemix G110, G120, G150, S110, S120, S150, S220, various drive systems. So in this overview of drive family, we will discuss about which applications we will use different drives. It's a very generic chapter. So whether it's a regenerative drive, non-regenerative drive, very basic of the speed controlling of an induction motor. So based on the control method you need and the application, what is the right drive system, and just a brief introduction about the drive family. And then we will move into the handling of the operator panel. Of course, Saul, can you go back into the previous slide, please? So then we will discuss about the handling of the operator panel. Some drives will have operator panels, some drives doesn't. So it's depending on which type of a drive family which you are learning. And soon I will talk about the different training courses. So you will understand which drives will have an operator panel. If it's having an operator panel, how to operate the drive from the operator panel, how to navigate through the menus, how to go to the fault diagnostic screen, how to see the actual values, how to basically change a parameter if it's really necessary. So we will talk about handling the operator panel in one chapter. Then we will discuss about the hardware component involved with the drive system. Most of the Siemens drives are modular. Yeah, they're made out of basically a control unit, power module, and an operator panel. And some of the drives will have some more electronic modules, like terminal modules to connect input-output terminals, or SMCs, sensor module cabinet, if you want to connect the encoder, or if it is a safety-related application, TM54, or for the temperature measurement, TM150, and so on. We will discuss about the various hardware components involved with the drive. Yeah, and how these different components make up a drive. Yeah, the basic idea is a speed controlling of the motor, and you need to have a brain, which is the control unit, and then muscles, the power modules, and to see input and output, you need to have a electronic modules, and we will understanding how the drive is made out of these different hardware components. Then we will learning about software platform. Yeah, you can commission the drive with the operator panel, but it will be a tedious task. But there will be a software platform, either starter or start drive, as Saul mentioned. The start drive is based on the TIA portal, or starter is a standalone software which can be integrated into our older step 7 software. So in this chapter, basically you will learn how to establish communication with the drive, how to upload, how to download, yeah, how to back up a parameterization, or how to commission a drive with this preferred software platform. Yeah. And then we will have a chapter commissioning, adapting application, and optimizing the drive. So in this chapter, what I mentioned by plus and minus, and later I will discuss about, we have operator courses, operation and maintenance courses, or parameterization and commissioning course. In this chapter, commissioning the drive and adapting to the application and optimization will be deeply discussed in the parameterization and commissioning course, and it will be touch based on the operation and maintenance course. Then we will discuss about the diagnostic, fault finding, maintenance, and replacement of the component. Basically, this chapter will be deeply handled in the operation and maintenance course. And of course, the parameterization and commissioning course is longer in duration. I would say it's something like 4 days, and operation and maintenance course is around 2 days. So diagnostic, fault finding, and maintenance will be covered even in the commissioning course, but it will be even in the shorter duration. This chapter will be deeply covered in the operation and maintenance course. Then we have something about the further drive functions, not only just a speed controlling. If you want to use this drive for various different functions like automatic restart, flying restart, or kinetic buffering during a slight mains failure, how the drive works and get some functions done, safety integrated, yeah, and load sharing, cascading the drives. So these further drive functions, again, it's depending on the course. Some courses doesn't have this further drive functions, but based on the course which you select, we have a further drive functions will be discussed. And finally, if you want to have this VSD or variable speed drive, Siemens drive, to communicate with some other systems like programmable logic controllers, whether it's Siemens or some open protocols, most of the Siemens drives support Profibus, Profinet, Ethernet IP, yeah, Modbus TCP. Likewise, we will discuss about how to do the communication configuration of the field bus communication. Yeah. So if you want to have a drives training or Siemens drives training, we have an offer. First thing is you need to know which drive family you want to know about, whether it is a G120, whether it is a S120 drive. In the S120 drive also you can use with the vector mode or servo mode. In the vector mode means you are driving a large power range motors. That means load moment of inertia to the motor moment of inertia is a big number. Or in the servo drives, which is load moment of inertia is pretty much equal to the motor moment of inertia. So you need to decide whether what drive family you want to learn about. G150. G150s and S150s are built-in drive systems, built it into a cabinet, ready to run. Yeah, not like a S120 or G120, which someone can put it into a cabinet. Our DC motors, Siemens DCM, for the DC motors. Or there are a lot of other drives. Just to summarize, depending on your drive family, we have different courses. And as I said earlier, depending on the requirement of the operator and maintenance or parameterization and commission, whether you want to have which course. And depending on the software platform to use, starter or start drive. Yeah. So you can see there are, with this, even with the 4 drive family, you can have something like a combinations. So you need to specify if you want to have a drives training, which drive family, whether you want to have operation and maintenance or commissioning, or whether you want to use a starter or start drive. I didn't talk about, we have some motion control applications as well. So drive plus motion control training courses for them. If you need, you can contact us. Saul, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, the training equipment. In a classroom, we can't have a real full-scale drives, but we have a tabletop drives. Yeah, it's the same thing. The control unit is the same. Only things is the muscles are small, the power modules are smaller. So we have a small motors and the same control unit. So the controlling and parameterization, commissioning or troubleshooting will be implemented in a smaller power size drive. Like mentioned, the first one is for S120 servo drive. The second one in the picture is for a G120 drive, and the third one in the picture is for a Siemens DCM. Likewise, depending on the training course which you choose, we have a different training setup. I think that's all from my side about the training courses, for drives training courses. Hope to see you all in one of the drive trainings.
Very good. Don't forget, guys, that we are ready to answer any questions. Just write it down on the chat. And we also have Phil Cipher from Siemens, New South Wales, that he is in charge of the PCS7 and WinCC SCADA training. Phil, take it away.
Thank you. Good day, everybody. So yes, I do the PCS7 and WinCC training, and I think, Saul, you should have an outline of the PCS7 training course contents. So PCS7, if you're unaware, is our process control system, our offering into the DCS marketplace. It's based on the S7400 controller, WinCC SCADA as the HMI package, and a library of function blocks to implement common control functions like valve and motor control, PID control, analog alarming, digital alarming, those sorts of things, so that you don't have to code like the low-level basic functions yourself. So that's what PCS7 is, and the training running through it sort of almost in the same order that the course runs, looks at the components of the PCS7 system. PCS7 has its own jargon, so what you and everybody else in the world might call a PLC, we call an automation station or an AS. The HMI, the WinCC SCADA system, we call an operator station. The ES is an engineering station where you sit and do all your actual engineering work. And we have other things like the maintenance station, a process historian, information server, and what's called an open PCS7 station to allow other systems to have access to the PCS7 system data. So we look at the components of the system, and then we start at the beginning where we have to configure the hardware for our automation station, for our PC station, for all the IOs, using either Profibus or Profinet. These days, most new systems would be using Profinet, but the actual training hardware that I've got is still based on Profibus. So we talk about both systems. The primary software that we use is the classic Somatic Manager. The Somatic Manager that goes back to the S7-300-400 controllers. Still current. And in the Somatic Manager, we have a number of different views that we offer of the project. The component view is the classic view that you had when you're programming things as PLCs in ladder. With PCS7, we supplement that with a couple of new views called the plant view and process object view. Process object view gives you access to the configuration data in a spreadsheet type format, allowing you to do bulk engineering very quickly and efficiently. So we look at the Somatic Manager and we do an exercise with connection of real physical I/O to a controller. We have real controllers with real I/O. I don't have a hardware simulator, but I simulate a hardware connection so that we can actually control the real I/O from a WinCC screen. So we do that to get like experience with playing with the real physical hardware. But from then on, we simulate, or we have a simulation of a plant, which is used for the rest of the course. The simulation of the plant runs in the controller, and you write your PLC program, automation station program, as if you had a real plant there, and the simulation actually responds the way the real plant would respond. So we then have a look at the sort of software blocks that we have in S7 programming: organization blocks, functions, data blocks, user data types and things. I suspect Saul might have talked about those when he talked about portal training, because we have the same sorts of block types in S7 for PCS7. One thing that PCS7 does is it gives us new programming languages. So primary programming language for your PLC logic is continuous function chart. So we have a good look at continuous function chart. And in association with that, we have the PCS7 block library, which is called the Advanced Process Library. That's the new one. The old one was just called the PCS7 library, but it wasn't advanced enough. So back about 2010, we introduced the Advanced Process Library. So this has the library blocks for valve and motor control, PID, and so on. So we have a good look at what those blocks offer us, and the code that we write uses the standard library blocks. We then look at putting the operator station into service based on WinCC, so that we can see what the plant is doing. For sequencing things, for like starting and stopping things in order, we have another programming language called sequential function chart. So we do a day's work on sequential function chart, or just about. Then we dig deeper into some WinCC configuration topics. We look at user administration, so that the people that are operating the plant can be given privileges as to what they're allowed to do. Like for the same motor, an operator might be allowed to start and stop the motor, but he might not be allowed to set the monitoring time for the motor. That might require a different authority in WinCC. So we look at how the user administration in WinCC is set up. We look at how we navigate around the screens. Process plants tend to have a lot of screens, so you have to be able to navigate around some way, and there are tools built in to automate the configuration of the picture navigation. We look at the alarm system. We look at the tag logging system, the trend system, how to log tags for displaying trends. We look at block icons and faceplates for the PCS7 blocks. For our PCS7 library blocks, so for the motor or valve, we supply a little graphic object that can be placed on the WinCC screen that can be automatically placed on the screens, automatically dynamized, so that when the PLC block changes state, WinCC changes to show you what's happening. And a faceplate, that's called block icons. Click on a block icon in runtime, and it pops up a faceplate, which is like a dialog box on the screen, where we get considerably more information about what's happening with that block, and we're able to control the block, start and stop the motor, and change set points for PITs and things. We do a topic on alarm handling, things like shelving alarms, so that nuisance alarms don't bother the operator, disabling or locking alarms, and configuring automatic hiding of alarms, so based on plant operating states. We look at time synchronization of WinCC stations and of the PLCs. So if you've got a system that's got an HMI station and several clients, necessary to have the clocks synchronized so that when you acknowledge an alarm on one station, the time is accurate and comparable to the times that the alarm happened on the other station. So WinCC can do that for us. We look at various features of the APL library, like interlocking, faceplate jumping, displaying additional analog values in the faceplates, and how we can customize the APL library block behavior with feature bits so that the same block can behave different ways, depending on how your specification wants it to work. We have a program language structured control language, which can be used for writing your own blocks. So we have a bit of a look at that. A couple of other topics: hardware configuration changes without stopping the CPU, or configuration in run, and block type changes without having to stop the CPU, type change in run. And we do an exercise on PLC to PLC communication. So there's quite a lot covering both the PLC and the HMI component, which is why the course runs for 9.5 days. It's nearly a 2-week course. If we go to the next slide, Saul, just to give you an idea, that's looking a little bit small there, but that is the actual simulated plant that we automated. At the end of the 2 weeks, 3 materials, 4 reactors with dosing tanks for measuring, so we can dose the materials into a dosing tank, dump it into the reactor, dose the next material, dose the next material, stir the mixture in the reactor, heat it up with a temperature control loop, spit it out into one of the 2 storage tanks. We've got 4 reactors, 3 materials, all different sizes. We look at the configuring the analog scaling. At the end of the 2 weeks, that whole thing is automated. So it's quite a nice exercise with the HMI done and everything. So that's the PCS7 course. I've been running that course for 20 years or more. The other things that I run now are the WinCC basic engineering course. Of course, WinCC is a component of PCS7, but when used as a standalone SCADA system, the configuration's a bit different, particularly in the basic engineering course. We base it on talking to an S7 1500 PLC using PLC Sim Advanced. So there's quite a bit of difference compared to working a PCS7 project. So we look at an overview of the WinCC system, the licensing, the sorts of architectures with client server and what do we talk about? Web Navigator for web operation. We create a project from scratch in the basic course. We start off with absolutely nothing, create a new project, create the PLC connection and tags. We do actually provide a PLC program so that we don't have to worry about the PLC program. The data's all there. We just have to configure the tags in WinCC and then start drawing graphics. So we look at some basic stuff for graphics designer and then start to dig deeper, looking into the various graphic objects that you've got on your screen. We then look at the scripting languages. WinCC has two, ANSI Standard C and Visual Basic Script. So we do some very simple scripting, looking at reading and writing tags and dynamizing the properties of graphic objects. We also do a little look at global scripts, which are scripts which run independent of what graphics currently on display. We look at user administration, same sort of story there as we had with the PCS7 case. We look at making what they call reusable picture blocks or faceplates. A WinCC faceplate is a slightly different thing to a PCS7 faceplate, but we look at how they can be configured to efficiently engineer graphics that can be reused for multiple instances of the same sort of thing. So if we've got a motor, you've got the same block in the PLC that's doing the motor, we can make one graphic that that shows you what's happening with the motor, and then call that graphic, same graphic, for lots of different motors. So you only have to do the graphics once. We look at tag logging and trending. We've got alarms and alarm logging. There's a few additional items which we don't go into in a great deal of detail, but we look in brief at the report designer because WinCC can print reports. We look at user archives where users can define their own database tables. And we look at an option called basic process control, which gives you that screen navigation similar to what PCS7 does. Gives you a pre-configured alarm system, a few bits and pieces, which might save you engineering time. So that's a 4.5-day course. I ran that last week, actually. So that's that one. Advanced engineering, we don't do any of the project stuff. It's mainly looking at system architectures, client server redundancy, and we actually set up client server connections and redundancy connections. Look in depth at both scripting languages. We look at configuring redundancy clients and multi-clients. We do an exercise with the web option, Web Navigator, an exercise on the information server, and an exercise on the connectivity pack, which allows OPC connection. So that one's another 4.5-day course. So if you're interested in WinCC, give us a call. I always enjoy running those courses. Back to you, Saul.
Well, I'm going to leave you with our supervisor, our boss, Daryl Grant, to say some words of goodbye.
Okay, thanks, Saul, Asita and Phil for giving a basic outline there of the courses we run. Just like to mention to anyone, if they have any questions on any of the training material, content, etc., please you can put queries through to APS or also to us directly on the website that Saul mentioned earlier. There is a SITRAIN email box that you can send questions and we can get back to you with any content, pricing, etc. Please also be aware that you can also book courses through that system and also put the 10% discount code in there for APS, etc. Just like to mention as a final mention that, from our courses that we do run both face-to-face and remotely, we get an average of around about 9 out of 10 success from customer surveys. So the content is very, focused on real events, your systems, etc. So if you have any questions, please get in contact with us And thanks for APS for setting up this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I just have a couple of minutes to wrap it up as well. Something that we offer are a lot of intangibles, things that are not necessarily part of the course, not part of the script. We have our trainers that have been in the industry for more than 30 years. So we do complement the actual content of the training course with our own experience and the way that we believe, according to our experience, things should be done, good practices, things like that. So I hope to see you soon in one of our training courses. I'm going to leave it at that. Once again, thanks to APS for giving us the chance to do this. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.